Hello, Forecaster here again, and we are back for episode 96. Now, this is a recording made during editing because Bandicam decided that it would reset the secondary audio device, which is usually my microphone, to disabled, so it didn't record uh, anything I said while I was recording this. So I have to record the voiceover in post, and I'm not going to try to pretend that I'm not doing that, because that would probably end up badly and not be very convincing. So here we are. As you can see in this episode, before this episode, I've been laying down cables in the garden to put down some proper lighting because I wanted to get rid of the lanterns, and there was also plenty of blind spots. So mobs were occasionally spawning in here, and I got fed up with being attacked in my front yard. So I want to set up a turret in this episode, and for that I have the Open Modular Turrets mod, as I'm trying to filter into the search in NEI right now and give up and use the built-in filter thing. So the Open Modular Turrets mod adds, turrets. It has 5 different tiers, and you have a block called a base, and then you have a variety of different turrets. So you have a base for each tier, 1 through 5, and then you have the different turrets. For example, the junk launcher turret, or whatever it's called, which can fire pretty much anything, any item or block. It does a fairly low amount of damage and has a very low rate of fire. Then we have, for example, the gun turret, which fires bullets at a higher rate of fire and more damage, I think. And the junk turret is tier 1, so you can only put it on, or you can put it on any of the bases. However, the gun turret is tier 2, so you will need a tier 2 base or higher. You cannot put it on a tier 1 base. And then you have even higher turrets, like the railgun or laser turrets. Now, the Open Modular Turrets mod uses RF. And the turrets require power. Some of them require ammunition as well. For example, bullets for the gun turret, or anything for the junk launcher. Now, EU support is planned, but it hasn't been added yet. So I would love the ability to just connect the turrets to my power grid directly, but I cannot do that. So I had to come up with a workaround for that, which involved forestry, of course. And there were a couple of other issues. For example, the turret base does not request power from Railcraft pipes for some reason. And I'm going to be spending a while crafting the turrets, or the turret. I'm going to be making a gun turret, which is a tier 2, of course, so I need to also make a tier 2 base. Um, so this takes a while because it was a little bit fiddly to make. I needed to make a tier 1 base first and then upgrade that into a tier 2 base. To make the tier 2 base, I had to make a tier 1 sensor and upgrade that into a tier 2 sensor. Then I had to make the actual gun turret, which required some tier 1 components that I then had to upgrade into tier 2 components. But yeah, so it used quite a bit of, well, not really a lot of materials. The tier 1 components are very cheap, just using cobblestone and wood, basically, and a little redstone. And the tier 2 components mostly used iron and some redstone. And then the tier 1 components you want to upgrade, of course. But it was a bit fiddly. I also later need to make some ammo, so bullets, which I think cost a piece of iron, a piece of gold, a piece of redstone, and a piece of gunpowder. And got me 64 bullets, which is a decent amount. Though the turret did end up burning through those pretty quickly. A lot quicker than I thought. But yeah. It's quite a boring part, actually. It's quite annoying that Bandicam decided to change its settings, and I have no idea why that happened. I am sure I didn't go in and change them myself. Alright, the IO units were kind of fiddly as well. Required a bunch of those. And so I recorded 3 episodes like this. So it means after this one I have 2 more that I need to record a voiceover for in posts. As you can see, I have a lot of iron right now. The mining program has been working quite well. Although I have made a few improvements to it, which we'll see in a future episode, I think. Or maybe it's later in this one. Might be later in this one. I don't actually remember. So yeah, not a lot to say right now. Just moving things around and crafting, which is a lot easier to talk about when you're actually doing it. Not so easy to talk about when you're watching it afterwards. Like, I'm placing redstone, I'm placing gold, I'm placing iron, and I'm picking up more iron and more gold and more redstone, and I'm placing it down again in a different pattern to make something else. Yeah. It was quite annoying after I found out that there was no voiceover track on the recording. but oh well. I should probably have made sure that there was after recording the first episode. Would have made my life easier, but no, I assumed that everything was working like it had before. But I was wrong, so yeah. So I'm not entirely sure what's going on with the open modular turrets right now, if it's being actively developed or not. I haven't heard anything in a while about it. Hopefully someone's still working on it. It would be a shame if they weren't. And here's a random baby zombie. Pops up out of nowhere. Yeah. And then more crafting. So, yeah, we're still crafting. We're almost up to 100 episodes. Just 4 more after this one. It feels kind of like a milestone, getting up into the triple digits. Though I have been putting out 1 episode every other day, so you would expect that you'd reach 100 pretty quickly. But once in the triple digits, we'll be staying there for quite a while before we reach the quadruple digits. It's getting to 1,000 is going to be a journey and a half. It's a lot longer, 10 times longer actually, relative to 100, obviously. By the power of tens. And I'm still crafting. I would like to get back to working on the railway soon as well, after this batch of episodes. I've started harvesting yellow dye, which is going to allow me to make those signals that I need, those signal circuits. It's going to be quite useful, of course. So I'm going to be able to start setting up signals. I also have a lot of iron now, and I'm turning it into steel to make it into rails, to get more rails out of it, to save some stuff. I'm using the industrial craft blast furnace to save coal, of course, because I have plenty of time while doing this stuff. So I'll be able to start laying down tracks again, and finish the railway. I'll probably want to lay down the other side, which means expanding the bridge some more, building the other side of that, which I'm going to have to do manually because I don't have any robots capable of doing that yet. And by robots I'm talking about the open computers one, which might be able to help me with the supports, because those are the most annoying part of the bridge construction by far, because you need to dive down, at least where the ocean is very deep. Though since I have supports already, getting the distance right is going to be a lot easier. Plus, I can place down the blocks on the existing pillars and have them fall into the water, which is going to making the other side a lot easier. And then I just need to build up the bridge itself like normal. So hopefully that's going to be a little less of a workout this time around. And then, of course, we have a large part of the bridge left to construct, because I only built it to the landmass that was in the way. Still have quite a bit to go until we reach the landmass with the village on. If you remember that village, or if you've seen that episode at all, where I went by boat in, I think it's north. I think it might be north or west, maybe, or east. Might be east, to the right of where I'm facing right now. And I found I found a landmass with a village with an environmine mining shaft. With some interesting things, and I stayed there for a while before getting some resources and then returning home. And I decided that I wanted to build a railway there to be able to go back there, go back and forth to there easily from my home base. And that was like 40 episodes ago or something like ridiculous like that. It's going quite slow. I sincerely hope that people are actually enjoying the way I play, because I have no idea. I know some do, because I know people are actually watching the show. You're probably most likely watching it right now if you're hearing this. But I do tend to play slowly, as you've probably noticed by now. There's the gun turret itself, finally. But yeah, it's just the way I play. Take things slowly. Don't tend to rush to places. I don't have any rush to get to the high-end stuff quickly. Alright, the bullets didn't use any gold, just use iron. Right. We're getting the engine. Going to need to get some other stuff as well. Need 2 basic gates, which I'm on my way to get going right now. Need some pipe wire and some structure pipes. Yeah. I also decide to get some additional redstone chips made for the future. This is also the last of my redstone, apparently. So later on, I decide to get some more of that. I'm having to do. I had to do some mining. I think I do it after this batch of episodes. So now we're going to plan out where the turret is going to go. And I decide to put it in the corner of this wall here. Because mobs have a tendency to flock to here when they see me, and I hide in here. So I decide to put the turret just here. Going to need some more cables. I'm also probably going to, if I remember, push this the wall that continues towards the ocean there, push it out one block just to have it lined up properly. Of course, I put the cable down there, thinking that I can put the base on top of them and have them connect, but of course that won't work, which I realized shortly once I put the base down. Or before, actually, apparently. Instead, I'm going to put a temporary block down. First, I put a carpenter's barrier, and then I try to put the base on top of that, but I put it in it as a camouflage instead. It's kind of silly of me. Then I have to break it to get it back. Then I put down, I think it was a thin log instead, so I can actually put the base on top. Then I have to remove that, put down the engine. Yeah, it was a wooden post from Railcraft, actually. Then I get rid of that, put down the engine, I think. Well, I try to get rid of it. Sort of fail at that. Yeah. Here's the base interface. There are some settings. We have 2 add-on slots and 1 upgrade slot. I think that's the way around it goes. We have an RF buffer. The plus and minus, the minus Y value, I think that's how far below the base the turret is allowed to attack entities. Yeah, flailing at things. You can configure what the turret is allowed to attack. You can also put multiple turrets on a single base, of course, 1 per side, except for one side where you need to input power, presumably. So I put the turret on this side, of course. You can also there's also some upgrade modules you can put on the sides. Let me put down the engine, and then we're going to connect it to the power grid. Of course, I don't have enough cables for that quite at the moment, so I'm going to have to make some more of those. And the frame rate is about as bad as it usually is. I think I averaged about 10 FPS most of the time when recording, which is pretty awful, as you can probably tell. Makes it, and there are occasional spikes down to 4-ish, which is usually when, like right there. Yeah, my computer isn't very good anymore. Can't really handle this. Need some red pipe wire to be able to make another gate. And it doesn't want to come out. So, yeah, I need to get a new computer, but I don't have the money for that at the moment, unfortunately. I'm working on a student budget. I've started to look at starting a Patreon. Maybe there are people who watch this who would be willing to help along, to help get help me upgrade my computer to improve my recordings, because that would be the ultimate goal, of course. With that, but it's not something I want to rush into, so I haven't just thrown one up. I'm going to keep looking at that and probably set one up eventually. But yeah, I need to figure things such as what goals to set and what levels to have and things like that. And I also want to have an idea of what to do initially, because I'm going to need a certain amount of money to get a new computer. But once I have that, I don't know if I should change the way the Patreon works, change the goals around, have some initial initial things set up just to get a computer, and then change it, or just have it a certain way, or set long-term goals to start with as well, and have it set up to just general income. I have no experience with Patreon except as a patron myself, for other creators, of course. So it's completely new to me, but we'll see what happens with that. Here I do some stuff with the Railcraft gates, by the way. We are getting close to the end. I have some issues with the turret getting deactivated, and it takes me a little bit to figure out why that is happening. And as it turned out, it was being disabled by the redstone signal from the gate. So I at first I thought, hey, I don't need 2 gates. I can have the I have some trouble with the inverting, or the redstone signal is on when there is no power in the buffer. As soon as there's a little power in the buffer, the engine turns off. So I put the second gate on the same pipe, put the red pipe wire on to invert the signal. And as you can see, the redstone signal is conducted by the turret base. But the redstone signal, which I figure out later, also disables the turret. And there's no way to tell the turret base to ignore redstone signals. So I end up putting it back the way it was initially, with the 2 gates and the red pipe wire carrying the signal away from the turret base and to the engine, and then have the gate by the engine emit a redstone signal, which doesn't affect the turret at all. And it seems I've gotten a little thirsty doing all this work, even though I'm surrounded by water, ironically, falling from the sky. And my inventory is a mess again, of course, as usual. Not sure what I was saying here. Don't remember. Want to test the turret by attracting the attention of some mobs, so I put in the ammo. Increase the range a little bit. Range down. You can see it says active no, and as I said, that's because the base is receiving a redstone signal. It takes me a while to figure that out. So I want to see if the turret will actually fire anyway, which it won't. So I attract some mobs towards it, and the turret is tracking them, I think. but it's not actually firing because it's not allowed to. Oh yeah, there's some glitchiness with the moving items around inside of the inventory, or inside of the turret interface as well. That's alright. So I'm still wondering why it doesn't work. Speculating that maybe there's an upgrade required or something. Maybe the range is too short, which would be kind of silly because they're right there next to the turret, pretty much. Looking at the settings again. Any minute now, figure out what the problem is. It's getting plenty of power. Got quite a buffer building up. Can't attack bats either because it's not allowed to shoot anything. Come on now, past me. You can do it. You can figure the thing out. The thing that I've already told you about. Come on. Yeah. We're getting close to the end of the episode. Already drawn over a bit. Took me a little extra time to figure that out. But I did eventually. There we go. And now it's working. The skeleton shot me through the gap. And I got surprised by that. So I decided to kill the skeleton myself. Keep it from shooting me. The turret's not particularly effective. I think it tried shooting that skeleton but failed because it was in a weird position relative to the turret. I think it just shot a bat though, which is wonderful. I don't think I saw that when I was recording this because I was busy. But here we go, restoring everything to how I originally intended to set it up. This time with a good reason. So we have, although initially I did it the wrong way around. I actually wanted to check for when the buffer is full and then turn the engine off, otherwise keep the engine on. So like that. Perfect. So now the turret is going to be kept powered by the engine, which runs off of my power network. And the turret has run out of ammunition. So it's burned through the entire stack of bullets I gave it. And that's pretty much that. So yeah, that's turrets. Gonna have to make more ammo for it. Maybe try out the junk turret in the future. See if that works better. There's plenty of ammo for it. That's for sure. But yeah, so we'll see past me with future me in the next episode, where I'll also need to do a post voiceover. So I will see you then.